Welcome to Sideline Judgement. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And today, Tyler, we are reviewing everything that happened in Week 13 of the 2020 college football season. That is rivalry week in a normal year. But this season, while we did have some rivalry games, we didn't get the full slate. But that is okay, Tyler. That is okay. Because there was plenty of football played. And I would argue that Kyle Pitts had a rivalry of his own this weekend.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that, I'm sure.
We will get to that. We will also then get to rapid reactions, talk about 5 wide. 2-point, all that jazz. But first, Tyler, we begin with quick hits. And rather than doing the AP poll, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter anymore. So we're just going to hold our poll reactions to the next episode, which will be after the playoff rankings are released again. We are going to start with Derek Mason, the ex-head football coach at Vanderbilt, has been let go. Derek Mason is gone after 6 seasons at Vanderbilt. They started the year off 0-8. He is the 6th winningest coach in program history and only the second coach to lead Vanderbilt to 2 bowl games. And he had a 27-55 record.
That's not indicative of what Vanderbilt's situation is.
Yeah.
Then I don't know what else to tell you. And
he is the 6th winning coach in history at the school, and he went 27-55.
27 wins is 6th winningest all time. That's
insane.
Oh, jeez. Anyway,
insane.
I kind of I didn't take this news very well because I like Derek Mason.
I do as well.
I like the way his team. Here's the thing about his Vanderbilt team: they play really hard. They just aren't good.
Yeah,
and that's not really by fault of their own.
Not at all.
I still think his Kyle Shermer bowl teams were
pretty good,
overachieving for what Vanderbilt's supposed to be.
Yeah,
historically is, and pretty good. He's beaten Tennessee 3 times. That's huge.
That's fantastic.
But I will say, as I will always say, I'm never gonna get mad at. I'm never gonna tell someone if they want it to be better that they shouldn't. If you think you should be better, make the move. I didn't think that they would, considering Vanderbilt is a historically conservative athletic department in regards to spending.
But and given a global pandemic and spending revenue loss and all that.
Of course, they're private institutions, so we're not really privy to all that information. But
exactly. Legally, we're not privy to that information.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see who they hire because they could go in some directions here.
And that's what I was going to say. I'm very interested to see, first of all, again, I agree with you. Derek Mason, arguably one of our favorite coaches in college football. And it's not for the record on the field because, again, you said it. We both said it before. It's very difficult to do anything at Vanderbilt. And so the fact that he was able to do this is an achievement in its own. I hope he gets a good coordinator job and bounces up on off his feet and is able to move forward.
Hey, there's some places in Florida that could use a defensive coordinator maybe.
There are some places in Florida that could use a defensive coordinator. Very true. No, but I think what you said is what we should talk about. What direction does Vanderbilt want to go? Do they want to go with a high-flying offense type that is very much you just got to recruit a few fast players and they have the young quarterback to get the ball out there. You got to recruit those. Or do they go in the direction that I've seen a few college football analysts on Instagram and Twitter say, do they just go full Georgia Tech here and say, let's just run the triple option? Let's just be different than anyone else in this conference because we're not going to out-recruit them with the big boys. We're not going to out-throw Lane Kiffin. We're not going to do all these things. Let's just go different. Zig while people are zagging.
Yeah, I think they have to go in that direction, and it's upsetting to me in the sense that that means that Ken Seals Jr. is probably going to transfer.
Yeah, for sure.
He's too good to be stuck on that roster if they move triple option.
Agreed.
But, I mean, Vandy's different in the sense of their place. They fit a slot that a lot of teams fit into in a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
They are typically what Rutgers is in the Big Ten. They are typically what Kansas is in the Big 12. The thing is that most years I would take Derek Mason's Vanderbilt team over all of the other bottom feeders. Even when Vanderbilt's the worst.
In what terms, Tyler?
On the field.
In terms of on the field. Okay.
In most years, Derek Mason's teams could probably beat most of the other bottom feeders. If you took the worst team by record in each conference, Vanderbilt probably wins most of those games.
Okay.
Like when they were still worse in the conference, they were probably better than Kansas, probably better than Rutgers. Not recently, but probably better than a litany of Oregon State or Colorado when it was really bad. Like, and it's just one of those things where like they could be better than all of the other bottom dwellers. They're still stuck where they are in the SEC.
Yeah,
like they are the best of the worst. Like,
right, I agree.
Or the worst of the very best. And it's one of those things where like you can't. You're never gonna out recruit. Like, even if you manage to out recruit your in-state rival Tennessee, which would be a long haul, you have 6 other programs in the SEC that can out recruit you. That's not even touching the other side of the conference.
I was going to say that's not even touching the Giants like in Alabama and in Auburn and those kind of schools.
Yeah, so I think you have to, if you want to be competitive, you got to go triple option because no one in the SEC runs triple option.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's a way to make yourself stand out, and you know what? It's Vanderbilt. They've shown as an institution that they're okay with putting a less than stellar performance out on the football team if it means that their athletic department as a whole can succeed. And they've seen that. They have one of the best baseball teams and programs in the country. They have a really good basketball team as of late. Yeah, like pretty good at basketball as of late. So, and clearly they have a good women's soccer team as well, as was seen in a historic moment that we had this past Saturday. Exactly, which we will see what you did there, Tyler. We will actually give that the attention and the time that it deserves. It won't just mention it in passing later on in the show. So don't worry, we will talk about that. We understand we're talking about Vandy now. So, Tyler, realistically for Derek Mason, where do you see him? What do you see him doing next?
I do think that he will get a defensive coordinator job. Realistically, I feel him going back out west because he originally comes from the Stanford coaching tree.
Yeah, he does.
He has had his name floated around, which you look back in your past, Derek Mason, you probably should have taken that Colorado job.
Yeah.
But he has had anytime his name is rumored for a head coaching search, it's always out west. So realistically, I think there's 2 options. He either ends up as a coordinator somewhere out west, or he ends up as a coordinator somewhere in the SEC.
Okay,
because he's got the SEC ties now.
Yeah, he does, and he's been here for half a decade.
I don't really see any ACC, Big 12, Big 10. I don't really see any of that happening. I think he's either going to the Pac-12 or he's going to the SEC.
And that makes perfect sense. I know of a couple SEC programs that would like a defensive coordinator.
I could think of one.
I could think of one. I could think of many, actually. Because
I could think of 1 or 2.
Because I don't know if you knew this, Tyler, but the SEC is the new Big 12. So,
I mean, is this what we want football to be?
Is this what we want football to be, Tyler? Is this what we want? All right, let's talk about that program that we both think could have an opening at defensive coordinator next year. That's our beloved Florida Gators. We come out of a game against Kentucky where we won 34-10.
24-point win.
A 24-point win. Once again, we have yet to score less than 30 points in a game this season. Tyler, we need to talk about the defense in the first half. Let me just say this. We need to talk about the defense before Mullen yelled at Grantham, and we need to talk about the defense after Mullen yelled at Grantham.
Because there be a difference.
There do be a difference. Before Dan Mullen and Todd Grantham had their, as Dan Mullen would call it, I can't believe you put the Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving, which, by the way, for the record, I am completely with you, Dan Mullen.
100%.
Don't put your Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving. I'm talking to a plethora of my friends, my girlfriend included. Don't put your Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving.
Put it up after Thanksgiving.
But while that was a cover-up, Tyler, the real reason behind that rant and that argument was the defensive play, the play on defense. And I texted you throughout the game, and I said, I think the first time I texted you was close to halftime, and I said, what is going on with this defense? They don't look motivated. They look like they don't know their assignments. They're like, I don't even say half a step. They're like a full step, maybe a step and a half behind the offensive players. What happened to this defense in the beginning of the game? What like this was not a defense
it's the same problems every single time. They're not lining up right. I will say the defensive line played really well in this game from start to finish.
Yes.
But I think part of me thinks it's a psychology thing. All right, first of all, blanket statement. Florida does not play well in noon games. I think I can just say that. I think we can all just realize that. Like, all the best performances have been in the non-noon games.
Mm-hmm.
They just sleep through noon games, and that should not happen.
That's a problem.
That's a problem in and of itself, but it's also one of those steps where Florida is on track. Florida's not the machine yet. They are on track.
Correct.
There.
Correct.
I mean, we're at the point where we're nitpicking 24-point wins, but we're still not at the point yet where we can just roll through these things. Right. Anyway, I think it's a general. It has to be, in my opinion, part of it is a general psychology thing, because like early on in the season, defense could play awful and it didn't matter until the Texas A&M game where it did matter, and they lost that game. Then the defense kind of sort of buttoned down, but it wasn't like we figured out what the problem was. Now we just got to keep doing it. They were working through their issues, and now they've kind of figured out what their biggest, like, at least we have figured out what their biggest issues are. Specifically, being tempo and being lined up correctly is the big one. Kyrie Campbell comes back, that fixes a lot of things. Once again, the offense continues to deliver them. And I think this team, I do think the noon game aspect does, right or wrong, have a part to play in this. I just think the defense a lot of times just feels like we don't have to play well. Because, they may score on the first 2 drives, but we're going to score 30.
But isn't that a problem?
That's a problem. Like,
okay.
I get it in the sense of, like, I'm not going to get upset as a fan that Florida didn't shut out the other team opponent. Florida won by 24. That's great. But you're not trying to beat Kentucky by 24. You're trying to beat Alabama.
Yeah.
You don't have to beat him. You don't have to beat him this weekend. You have to beat him in a couple weeks. Like, again, this game doesn't have to be perfect, but
right.
It's a psychology thing, and that's a problem. And I'm not really sure. I can't tell if that's easier to fix. I mean, it should be easier to fix than a physicality, because like you just can't. If you have a physical barrier, you just can't overcome it. Like, if Vandy had a really well-coordinated defense, but, I mean, they can't cover Devontae Smith on Alabama. Like, that is a physical issue that they're not going to be able to overcome. Like, they don't have someone fast enough. Like, I don't think, like, physical issues create barriers that can't be overcome without personnel. That's not the problem, in my opinion. I mean, the problem is that they're just not showing up early in games.
Well,
they haven't shown up early in a game yet this season.
But Tyler, you know who does show up when they're put in the game? The young guys.
Yes.
The young players, the freshmen, the sophomore, the redshirt freshmen that are put into games when Mullen is tired of the lack of effort, the lack of awareness, and he puts young guys that he recruited personally, and they go in and they have that mentality. So my thing is, why aren't you playing your best players? And we've had this conversation about how Mullen is very much a leadership person, and people are in his program for a while and they work their way up towards those positions. But if I have to see Marco Wilson and Steiner and all those players out there just being a step and a half behind players, and then when the ball is underthrown to the wide receiver's feet, they start celebrating like they're, Patrick Peterson in his prime, I'm going to lose it, because like, I don't think they understand that they are not giving A, their best effort, and B, there are players behind them that should be playing ahead of them, And
the reality is as I've continued to look at his defense, it used to be all 3 levels were a problem. I'm going to be completely honest. I really just think it's the secondary right now.
I agree.
The defensive line and the linebacker core have figured out their issues.
Tyler, who was the best defensive player in Saturday's game? I texted it to you.
Was it Zachary Carter or Mamoud Diabate?
It was Diabate. He was all over the field.
He's gotten better every single week.
Every single week. That's a man that goes from outside linebacker to an edge rusher to drop back in coverage. The man plays all over the defense. He had a pick.
He had a half sack.
There was one play, Tyler, where it was like a screen pass to the Kentucky receiver, and a couple players missed tackles, and he ran from midfield in a dead sprint to turn a 10-yard, 12-yard gain into a 4-yard gain, to the point where I looked at Raul and I said, who was that? And he gets up and I see that number 11, and I was like, thank you, Diabate. Thank you so much. Like, it's that kind of play. And we see those players in the linebackers. We have Diabate. We see Kyrie Campbell on the defensive line make those plays. We see Cox Jr. making those plays. We see these players. I don't see anyone in the secondary until after Mullen and
until Trevez Johnson, Chester Kimbrough, and Jaden
until
Hill
these young
the
guys, exactly, they got in the game, they understood it, and they showed that in that feeling. You know what I mean? The only young guy I see out there making plays left and right is Kyer Elam.
Kyer Elam, yeah.
And one man does not make a secondary, is my point.
All right, and I want to give Florida credit because like after that chewing in the second quarter by Dan Mullen at Todd Grantham, who by the way Todd Grantham, I understand this because we've all been there where you're getting chewed, but you just want to keep getting the last word in.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Like
don't do it.
And I give Dan Mullen a lot of credit in the sense that like Dan Mullen is not afraid to chew out his own coaches. Like
no,
and I'm gonna give the Florida's defense credit. They locked down after that moment. Now, again, part of that you have to also understand is that at this point, they've got a 2-score lead. Kentucky, a team not built to throw, is now being forced into a situation where they have to throw to keep up. And again, Florida's defense is built to play with that type of a lead.
Exactly.
Even when they're not playing well, which they weren't really playing well, they still shut it down in the second half. So the second half defensive performance is the best that they've had this season. However, once again, there's context to that. Of course it is. You're playing in an easier deck. When the game is at the 0, when the game is at the neutral line, which is the first couple drives, where there's no context, there's no forcing the opponent to play into your hand, you're just playing, that's when Florida's defense never shows up.
Yep. And
they show up when the deck is in their favor. Great. It's better than not showing up at all like they were earlier in the season.
Yeah, exactly.
This is progress. However, you got to get that fixed. And of course, I told this to my dad when I talked to him about it. These are issues you want to be solving right now. It's better this happen now than in 3 weeks when you play Alabama.
Yeah.
It's better that it not happen at all, but it's happening, and it's very clear that it's pissing Dan Mullen off.
Yeah, because he does a very good job of kind of controlling his emotions. I don't want to say during the game, but definitely controlling his emotions when there are fans or media present outside of the team. And for him to go on the sideline, we've seen him chew people out on the sidelines.
Oh, absolutely.
But it wasn't coaches or players. It was referees for decisions. It was, you know what I mean? For him to go after...
Dan Mullen's got a mean streak.
He does. And for him to go after someone he knows and has worked with as much as Todd Grantham, he had to have been really agitated. So there had to be something behind that.
Best part about that clip, I got to be honest, is watching all the players behind him that are just like...
I haven't paid attention to the players behind. I was staring at Grantham and Mullen.
No,
I actually have to go back and watch it.
I watched it once again, and like Ventura Miller's standing there. He's just like side-eyeing the whole thing, like still as a statue. They are all still. And then Tadaro Slayton kind of comes in and leans in at one point, and I can't tell if he's trying to figure out what they're talking about, as in like how it pertains to the game that is very much still being played on the field. Or if he was just that openly curious. But again, credit to the defense. They locked him down in the second half.
Yeah. Credit to them. Credit to the young guys.
Yeah. Credit to the young guys specifically, including Trevez Johnson. Great pick. Just good stuff. Secondary, you got to improve, man. Because, buddy, it's going to be... What I like is that the next 2 games, Tennessee and LSU, have good wide receiver cores, occasionally explosive passing attacks. If you even want to call Tennessee that. Like Tennessee can hit a couple deep bombs that don't translate to much, but they can hit that. Kentucky doesn't really do that. But yeah, so this defense will have that test before they have to place the ultimate deep bomb team, Alabama. And once again, everything gets put through an Alabama lens. Can I give you a conspiracy theory?
Oh, hoodies up, third eye activated?
Yes. Can I transition over to the offense?
Do it. Hoodies up, third eye activated.
Hoodies up, third eye activated. Part of me really believes that Mullen was throwing this game on offense.
Oh.
A small part of me wants to believe, kind of believes. Okay, they were trying to win. Kyle Pitts had 3 touchdowns, which... Because the Kentucky linebacker, J.J. Weaver, was just like, he's never been covered by J.J. Weaver. Then he goes off for 3 touchdowns ever.
Tyler, actually, he still has never been covered by J.J. Weaver. I want you to know that.
He's not been successfully covered. No, but they scored 34 points. It was Kyle Trask's worst game, 256 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is Remember when we were in college in the McElwain years? I would cry if our quarterback had that stat line.
Tyler, anyway. I lived through 2015 with Treon Harris as my quarterback and the greatest college football defense of all time. I'll take a 275 3-touchdown performance any day of the week.
But part of me really does think that, like, Mullen wasn't trying, near the end of the game specifically, Mullen wasn't trying to run the score up. Mullen's not trying to put good things on tape because
you know who was sitting at home with COVID?
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. You know who's watching football? Nick Saban.
By the way, how did we get here? How do we get to a game where Nick Saban was watching the Iron Bowl at home? We'll get to that in a second. But, like, part of me does think, and I'm not saying this is like a massive conspiracy thing, but I think part of it is that at a certain point in this game, I think Mullen was like, all right, well, you know what? We're just going to run the ball. And we're not even that great at that. But I think he wants to have something to give his offense an ass chewing about. Mm-hmm. Because it's like what Nick Saban has to do mental gymnastics to do to find ways to criticize his Alabama players that are the
how
in the world 5 stars, beat everyone by 30. Mm-hmm. There's not any competition up to their level that they play. Like, he still has to find ways to do mental gymnastics to get them motivated. Yeah, and it's a weird thing where Florida's in the position where this is the best Florida offense and the best Florida team that's been around in a long time. Mm-hmm. Like, they are 1 win away from locking up the East. They are very clearly the only shot really in this conference to beat Alabama. Yeah. They've got an absolutely explosive offense. They've got a Heisman front runner. Possibly, they've got 2 Heisman contenders on their team, both named Kyle. This is new territory for them, and I think he still wants to bring them back down to earth.
Yeah, and you
know
what?
That might be a little big brain, but
it might be a little big brain. But I think I think Dan Mullen has earned the right for us to go big brain on this because the offense is doing whatever it wants each week. And he, like you said, he has to find ways in order to get this team to perform at the level that he needs it to be for the last game that matters. You know, the last big game that matters. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get it. I completely understand that. I just wanted to say welcome back, Kyle Pitts. I'm glad you're healthy. Oof. I'm glad there were no signs of rust.
He's been away, but he's back.
Diego was asking me.
Return to the King.
Diego was asking me, we were watching the game, and he was like, so what, is he a wide receiver? Is he a tight end? And I was like, you know what, Diego, he's Kyle Pitts. He's a weapon. He's a weapon. He's a weapon. And I had to tell him how he lines up at linebacker, but, you know, like 40% of his snaps are at slot, and he's built like a tight end, but he runs like a receiver, like a slot receiver.
I mean, his first touchdown, he ran away from a 5-star cornerback.
How?
He ran away from Kelvin Joseph, a 5-star cornerback.
Oh my gosh, he's insane. All right, listen, we could talk about Kyle Pitts all day long. We could have 3 hours on him, but we know exactly what happens with the offense there. Yeah, so anything else to say on the game there? I think we said enough with the defense.
Okay, we finally have to give special teams a shout out.
Oh,
we never do.
Yes,
but we finally have to. Last bit, Jacob Finn. Welcome to the punter conversation.
You have earned us to learn your name. What is it, Tyler? I still haven't learned. Jacob Finn.
Finn with 2 N's.
Jacob Finn. Welcome to the hollowed Townsend category, because that punt is a punt. Are we sure he's not part Townsend? Are we sure?
I need to. If he grows out his hair and it comes out the same way Tommy says, it'll be like must be cousins. Be cousins.
Jake. At this point, we're gonna call Jacob Finn a Townsend cousin once removed. That's what we're gonna call him. He's a Townsend cousin once removed. Congratulations.
And on top of that, the Kadarius Toney punt return touchdown.
It was funny because the announcers when they came back from halftime, turns out that the punter just kicked it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And all throughout halftime, we were texting. We were like, Dan Mullen, you are a god. That was fantastic. Special teams. Kadarius Toney, nobody can touch him, which all those things are true. But it kind of, a little part of me died on the inside when I found out, that was a Kentucky mistake. The Kentucky
punter messed up and then gave Kadarius Toney 2 people to beat.
Yeah, I'll take those odds every time.
Kadarius Toney will beat that every time.
Every time.
Like,
but still, fantastic. Smart of him to put 2 people back there, though, because that wouldn't have worked if there weren't 2 people back there. So good on them. All right, Tyler, let's get into rapid reactions before we talk about 5 wide. We are going to go ahead and start with the number 24 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes beating the Nebraska Cornhuskers 24-20. And I just want to bring this up because I feel like we're having a weekly Nebraska, what are you complaining about this week? And this week, Nebraska is complaining about the Iowa players on the sideline attempting to emulate the snap count, because Nebraska like a high school football team, decides to go with its count on simply clapping rather than mixing up claps and hard counts and different phrases and stuff. And so they were complaining that they were throwing off the Nebraska team by clapping on the sidelines.
That is the most childish thing I've ever heard. From Nebraska's perspective.
You're
trying to win.
There are no fans. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, I just can't. And I think Kirk Ferentz had the correct response to this. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we really getting mad about this? Like,
He did pull a little bit of the United States in the 80s Cold War, where it's like, what do we allow socialized medicine? Then what are we gonna do? Put chips into our brains? And it's like, I don't know how you got from point A to point Z. I know the path was flawed, but okay, I respect the hustle.
It was like, you didn't even need to go the extra step. I think we all just agree that, like, if you can throw off your opponent's snap count, you should do that.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
And it's not like cheating in the sense of, like, filming them at their practice or anything like that.
Right.
Or
we're not Bill Belichick over here.
We're not Bill like, it's happening in the game. They are across the sideline. They're about 60 yards away from you.
Dude,
like,
if I figure out that when you say Red Rover, you're going to run a slant to the right, and you call Red Rover the next time, I'm going to yell from the sidelines, watch the slant to the right. It's the same thing.
Is Nebraska the type of people, the Nebraska coaches the type of people that would, like, get mad that somebody figured out their tell when they play poker?
Nebraska coaches were snitches in high school. That's them. Scott Frost, you were a snitch in high school. Nebraska AD, you were a snitch in high school. He was the guy that told the teachers that everyone was planning to skip fourth period to go on an early lunch. That's who they were.
He's the guy at the last 5 minutes of the day. Is just like, wait, what about the homework?
Yes, that's Nebraska. Oh,
yeah.
All right.
No,
We've given them enough time. Wanted to say that's what Nebraska complained about this week. Come back next week for our segment of what did Nebraska complain about this week. Next up, a school that Scott Frost once coached at, UCF 58, USF 48. And it's funny because Raul at one point asked me, wow, I can't believe UCF lost. And I went, what are you talking about? No, they didn't. He goes, yeah, USF scored 48 points and had like 460 yards. And I was like, no, that's just how bad UCF's defense is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I know it's weird that seeing USF score 48 points and have over 460 yards, you would think they would win the game.
No.
But no.
Not when Dylan Gabriel's on the other sideline.
Sideline.
I mean, Dylan Gabriel don't play defense.
Dylan Gabriel is the opposite of Isaiah Simmons. He does not play defense. All right, that's all I wanted to say on that. Just insane how USF God, the UCF defense is bad, man.
I mean, USF is not a good football team.
No,
like they're not good at anything. At anything
in any phase of the game.
And you let them score 48 points
and 468 yards. Oh my god. Anyway, all right, that's that. Next up, we have Stanford 24, Cal 23. Tyler, I just want to give you a moment. I don't want to say give a eulogy, but considering Cal has played over half of their football games this season, I'm not sure that.
Hey, okay, look, when I put Cal at preseason 11 back in January, I didn't expect a pandemic to hit.
I'm not getting you for that.
The Pac-12 to jerry-rig a season in the last half because no one's practicing.
I'm not getting on you for that. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying maybe it's time to let go for the season. You can come back next year. Come back next year, Tyler. It's okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I went through such a wave of roller coaster of emotions with this game, in the sense of I was so proud of my Cal Golden Bears for driving down the field in a masterfully executed drive by Chase Garbers.
It was.
And punch it in right at the last second. Perfectly done with the clock situation. Was going to lead right into overtime, but I literally said it out loud before it happened. It's like, wait a minute, what if he misses this kick? Doink. My father cackled.
Tyler, I don't know what to say.
I was with my family this weekend, and every time I'm with that, my dad just likes to stir the pot with me.
So what you're saying is you're blaming your dad for this?
Oh, no. It's entirely my fault. But he didn't make it any better.
He didn't make it any better. I just wanted to give you that moment. I'm sorry for your loss this season. It makes you feel better. I have not been able to see my Arizona State Sun Devils play since week
at all.
one when they blew the lead against USC. So I guess we're even with our Pac-12 teams.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well. One of my Pac-12 teams is doing real well.
Okay, all right. Listen, there's no need to go there. There's no need to go low.
Okay, all right. No, come on, continue.
Let's continue. Clemson 52, Pitt 17. It's just a reminder that Trevor Lawrence is good.
Oh yeah.
And
Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say he's still the number 1 draft pick.
Angry Clemson is back, baby.
Okay, listen. I think we need to tread lightly with angry Clemson because angry Clemson leads to irrational Dabo. And irrational Dabo, while is excellent for the media in terms of getting content out, irrational Dabo is going to say something in the coming weeks that we're all going to collectively, as a country, roll our eyes at. I'm waiting for it to happen.
I thought we were past that point, but you think that, but then you also be like, no, it's Dabo Swinney. We're not there yet. Like,
that's true.
We're not deep enough into the season yet.
I just put this game here to say this is the first game that they had played since the loss to Notre Dame, and is it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
because they had
their actual bye week right after that.
Exactly.
And then they were going to play Florida State, got canceled the day of, and then
and now here they are.
And I just they were up 31-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. No, they that's another game that we saw on the bottom line that I kind of wanted to turn the channel or at least throw it on my laptop at some point. And then I saw the score at the end of the first and I was like, I don't think I need to do this.
I paid way more attention to this game than I should have as a fan of a professional team that'll be looking for a quarterback soon.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Gotta say, I like what I see.
Of course,
I've liked for the last 3 years.
Noted Kenny Pickett fan Tyler K. Williams. Yes, of course.
Yeah, no.
That moving forward,
wasn't his fault. Interception wasn't his fault.
Moving forward, Michigan State 29, the number 9 ranked Northwestern Fighting Reese Davis is 20. It looks like Reese Davis may have skipped a game here.
Probably.
This was I don't want to say slugfest, but it definitely was.
I'll give this game some credit. There was more scores in it than probably people would think. But...
There were, and Michigan State came out to an early lead, and I'm very surprised that they held it because, Tyler, I don't know if you know this, but Michigan State's, what's the word I'm looking for? They're bad, and so the fact that they were able to hold a lead against a top 10 team that, while yes, they may not have won their games in the most convincing fashion, and yes, they do play down to the level of their opponents every single week, I thought that they were going to have enough Reese Davis in them to go ahead and pull this out by a possession, and I was wrong.
I think that they just took one look at Michigan State's uniforms and just said, nah. Michigan State's uniforms suck, by the way.
They're pretty bad.
I don't know.
They need a rebrand. They need a rebrand over there.
Well, that was the rebrand, and I didn't think they needed a rebrand, and then they tried to rebrand with that, and I'm like, why? Like
they need another rebrand.
Oregon looking ass. Like,
it's like great value. Oregon. It's great value, Oregon.
Oh, it's not. I don't know about that. It's knockoff Oregon value.
Exactly. Tyler, number 9 ranked Georgia. I put number 9. I put number 9 for Northwestern. I meant number 8 for Northwestern.
But
my bad. Number 9 ranked Georgia 45, South Carolina 16. Okay, so about JT Daniels.
Okay.
We are seeing now, in the highlights of this football game I watched, we are seeing now that JT Daniels confirmed was the right man for the job. The playbook is opening up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's slowly expanding. I don't think at the rate that Georgia fans want it to expand, but I think at the right rate. At this point, at the beginning of next season, with JT Daniels presumably keeping the starting job, now that Dwan Mathis has decided to transfer.
Maybe that's why Georgia is very slow to open up the playbook because they don't want JT Daniels putting on a lot of tape.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking. That was a hoodies up, third eye activated moment there because they know he's going to be a starter next year now that he kind of proved it in practice and all that and stuff. And I don't know why you lied about him being healthy because that's the only explanation that I'm taking. Don't try to change my mind because if you knew he was this good, you would have played him this early or earlier. So I'm with you. And that was going to be my point where I think they're holding the playbook a bit more. They're slowly expanding it. I feel like we may see it a bit more in whatever bowl game they play because they're going to want to end their season on a high note and give the fans something to go into the end recruits, to go into the offseason. And then next year, they're really going to, boom, open the doors on that play.
Georgia's going to be a good team next year. Georgia's going to be a good team next year.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to not be good when you consistently have a top 3 recruiting class.
Players. Like,
you know?
I will say, I mean, there's not much for me to take away from this game because South Carolina's had their head coach fired and all their good players opted out. And, like,
nothing
they don't care. And Georgia won this game almost exclusively by running the ball. And
Yeah, but they had. That's the thing. That's why I mean they are opening the playbook slowly because they had moments where they would allow for things, different passing plays to open up, and that's what I meant.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. Indiana 27, Maryland 11. I put this here because Talia Tagovailoa had 3 interceptions, and that made me very sad.
Because he couldn't see the Indiana players because of the camo uniforms they were wearing.
Wait, they were wearing uniforms?
I just saw floating helmets personally.
I didn't even see. I didn't see how it was wild. I just saw face masks running around.
It's crazy, like how Talia is able to throw interceptions when nobody is playing defense in front of him. No, I mean, credit to Indiana for winning a game in those things. Like,
is the uniform?
Turning point of the season was the decision not to wear them against Michigan.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because you wore them against Maryland, a team that you could beat with a bad performance. And Michael Penix Jr., I hope he's okay. Yeah. Went out with an injury when they were up. They kind of just cruised away with the victory. They need him to come back, though, if they want to continue to be good, because he's very much a blueprint of how they
Very much so. Yeah. Like you said, they're a very vertical team, and he has the arm to be able to deliver those balls. Yeah. So, moving on, Oklahoma State 50, Texas Tech 44. Welcome back, Big 12 football.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about.
Welcome back. What is all this about? The defense is improving, and Matt Campbell bringing defense to the country. Throw all that out the window. We don't want to see that.
I feel
Tyler,
like
is this what we want football to be?
Feels like 2016 again.
Is this what we want football to be?
Absolutely.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, all the time.
Of course we do. All the time.
We like basketball on grass, and like sounds like you just took basketball, a great sport, and improved it. Like,
sounds fun to me. I mean, it's basketball, but with hitting. I'm there.
Yeah, this is old school Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and
it was fun.
It's fun game to watch. It was a fun game to watch.
It was a game that I watched the highlights, but it was a game that while it was a noon slot, and so while I was watching the Gator game, they would cut in with these scores, and I was like, oh wow, okay, Oklahoma's up 17. Wait, hold on, Texas Tech is up 3. Wait, hold on, Oklahoma State. It was one of those back and forths. I love it. Love to see it. Tyler, in a battle of 2 teams that used to be good but are now pretty bad, Penn State beat Michigan 27-17. Tyler?
Jim Harbaugh to the Lions, baby.
You are not wrong, because that's where I was going with this. Hoodies up, third eye activated. The Lions fired Matt Patricia after Thanksgiving. Yeah. Tyler, I don't want to say this is the nail in the coffin, because I don't think optics-wise they're going to want to fire Harbaugh.
Going to Detroit would be the perfect save face for Michigan.
Boom.
They don't have to fire him.
For both.
Mutual parting of ways.
This is a mutual parting of ways situation.
The cleanest cut you could ask for. You are on the phone with the Ford family in Detroit.
Yep.
Every freaking day from here on out. Let me just say how pathetic of a game this was for Michigan. Michigan's defense gave up 27 points and lost to a team whose only offense is the QB run game. And you know me, I'm a whore for the QB run game. I will always be a run the QB defender, in the sense because it's just really stupid. But when I play NCAA 14, I like to run the quarterback.
You do.
It's mathematics wise. It's a great way to introduce another element to offense if nothing else is working, and we got the players for it. That is the only thing that Penn State can do well. And Michigan gave up 27 points and only scored 17.
Tyler, Michigan lost to Sean Clifford. That's it. That's the sentence.
It was fine when it happened last year because he had KJ Hamler, and it was in Penn State. But this year, it was at Michigan.
No excuses.
And Sean Clifford's bad now, so
yeah, no excuses. That's what I was gonna say. That this is a mutual parting of ways with the Lions. So I don't want to say I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but this will be the moment when they write an oral history about Harbaugh's time at Michigan in 10 years. They're gonna come back to this Penn State game.
I mean, look at the last 2 weeks. You beat Rutgers in triple overtime.
Yes.
And then the next week you do your first you lose to an 0-5 team.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that it's Penn State.
You lose to an 0-5 team that the majority of their players opted out for coronavirus and their best running back had to medically retire.
Ridiculous.
That's bad.
It just goes to further prove that this is just a uncharacteristically bad season for Penn State. Mm-hmm. These happen.
They do.
And that this is a systemic problem with Michigan.
Yikes. You went from it only happens once in a while to no, this is going to happen forever with Michigan. But you're right, though. We had the conversation last week. We had the conversation last week.
Yeah.
Yep. You are 100% right. I just want to say I cannot wait for the win totals for Penn State next year. Whatever they are, I am hammering the over. Yeah. Hammering the over. Talk about a bounce.
There's going to be some course correction.
There's going to be some course correction. There's going to be some course rewriting, Tyler.
Yeah.
All right? And then last in rapid reactions, Tyler, the king of New Jersey, Greg Schiano, Rutgers 37, Purdue 30. Put some respect on his name. Tennessee, I wish you hired him. Wishing you hired him, huh?
Ooh, Rutgers and Tennessee have the same number of wins.
Rutgers and Tennessee!
Ladies and gentlemen, I got him.
Oh my! Oh, that took me out.
They both have exactly 2 wins.
Oh man, I wish they would have beaten Michigan.
They have the same number of wins as Michigan.
I wish they would have beaten Michigan. Oh my.
Oh god.
Ooh. Oh boy. Now, Rutgers, I don't know who you play next week, Rutgers. I need you to win because we will take care of business for you. I promise. We will beat Tennessee. I promise.
Florida plays Tennessee. We got that covered.
Oh, shout out to Rutgers. Shout out to Greg Schiano.
I'm pulling up the Rutgers schedule. I have to know.
We need to know. Oh my! I bet you Tennessee really is wishing.
They're playing Penn State. It's doable.
It's definitely doable. The transitive property tells us that since Michigan beat Rutgers and Penn State beat Michigan, Rutgers needs to beat Penn State to finish the trifecta. That's what needs to happen. Oh my! What a great way to liven up a Sunday evening, Tyler.
I want to clarify that I do. I'm not saying Greg Schiano would have Tennessee in a national title conversation if he was at Tennessee, but it's just interesting.
Exactly. That's a way
I'll
to put
say
it.
that.
I just find it funny how that
makes no damn sense. Compels me though.
Oh man. All right, Tyler. Let's just go quickly into 5 wide here. I do want to acknowledge, Tyler, my sincerest congratulations for having the first ever Sideline Judgement Sweep.
Yes, let's go.
In which you got all 5 wide games, and you also got your 2-point conversion. Let's dive into these games.
It's good to be the king.
You and Greg Schiano have some fighting to do because, as we know, king in New Jersey, Greg Schiano. First game, Friday at noon. Just love that phrase. College football on a Friday at noon. Iowa State, Texas. Iowa State wins 23-20 with Brock Purdy putting the squad on his back. Dicker, the kicker, missing a 57-yarder, not because he doesn't have the leg, but because it went wide left.
Also because Sam Ehlinger took a sack.
Also because Sam Ehlinger took a bad sack.
Senior
quarterback Sam Ehlinger. What if he comes back next year? What if he comes back next year?
He walked with the seniors. He gone.
Yeah, okay, so did Trevor Lawrence.
Sam Ehlinger is done.
Yeah. You know who else is done? We're talking about nail in the coffin games. Tom Herman, I would like to introduce you to your nail in the coffin game.
Here's the thing. Tom Herman may not actually get fired for this season because of the buyout situation. This game fired Tom Herman, though.
Yes. Agreed.
He may not get fired for a while, but you can't come back from this.
You know what this is? Next year, when they are mathematically ineligible to win the Big 12, he's gone.
Yeah. They've already made the decision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The boosters are looking at money. They're making a short list.
Iowa State is 7-2. They are 6-1 in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. 7-1 in the Big 12. They will play in the conference championship game.
Yeah.
The first time ever beating Oklahoma and Texas in the same season.
That's big. Tyler, I have a question for you.
Matt Campbell should be on the first name on the list for every coaching search in the country.
100% agree. 100% agree. South Carolina should be doing their due diligence and calling Matt Campbell and trying to lure him with whether it's real or not, whether we say it's, we joke around a lot with the SEC's it just means more mantra because we don't subscribe to that. We believe that all conferences, whether they're power or group of 5, matter and are significant. But they can use that aura and see if it works on Matt Campbell. We talk about Vanderbilt. They should call. I'm not going to go there, but they should call. No, he wouldn't leave for them. And if there's any other jobs that open up, maybe they can go. Maybe this is a weird situation where maybe Texas decides, hey, you know what? I am going to fire him right now. They should call. You can do it in their conference. You give Matt Campbell the same conference, same schedule with more money. Come on.
I mean, Breece Hall had the best quote that epitomized what happened in this game. It's 5-star culture versus 5-star players.
One more time.
5-star culture versus 5-star players. And in this game, the 5-star culture won. Oh, yeah. Sergio's doing the horns down.
You bet I am. Best part is that Brock Purdy did the horns down in the locker room.
I was going to talk about it later as like a pseudo moment of the week. Brock Purdy doing the horns down in the locker room.
Beautiful.
Was one of the greatest pictures I've ever seen. Just
hang it in the Louvre.
Hilarious.
Hang it in the Louvre.
But also just actual game analysis.
Yes.
Texas came out to play early, but Iowa State just won this. They came out and they won this game. Brock Purdy put the team on his back. Breece Hall was great. Texas defense couldn't really cover them in the second half, and
no,
Iowa State is just built better.
Listen, the drive,
that's the gist of it. They're built better.
For sure.
And here's the thing: they will probably get the number 1 seed in the Big 12 championship. That's the crazy thing about this. It's not that Iowa State is winning because they've been doing that, but like Matt Campbell right now has restructured the way this program sits in the Big 12. And who knows how sustainable that is when he's gone. But it used to be that they were just winning with plucky fundamentals and defense and like getting lucky here or there. They have better players now. They're not out recruiting Texas and Oklahoma, but they have better players now, and their culture is huge. And just to take the words out of Matt Campbell's mouth, when they beat top 5 TCU a couple of years ago, right after beating top 5 Oklahoma, he told his players, it's like, if you fall in love with the process, if you stick to it, if you fall in love with the process, eventually the process will love you back.
I love it.
That's what's happening here.
It's very Field of Dreams that someone in Iowa is building something and people are coming to it. It's very Field of Dreams. And one last thing, Tyler, before we move on, is your calendar working? Because mine says November, but I'm pretty sure we're still in Brocktober.
Oh, yeah. Don't tell Iowa State what month it is.
Just
they're living in Brocktober right now.
It's perpetually Brocktober in Iowa State, in Ames. Tyler, again, we have to go to a game, man. We have to go to Ames.
I have to go to a game.
We have to go to Ames.
I have to go to a game in Jack Trice Stadium.
And then wherever we go, wherever Matt Campbell goes, we have to go to a Matt Campbell game and just preach the gospel of Campbell is what we need to preach. It's what we need to preach. Give me that 3-5 whatever defense he runs. That's what I want.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, it was another Friday game. Notre Dame took on North Carolina. Notre Dame pulled away late in this game, 31-17, but this was a close game throughout most of it. And North Carolina played much better on the defensive side of the ball than I anticipated.
I agree. But Notre Dame defensively just probably one of the second half of this game is probably one of the best defensive showings of a team all season.
Yeah.
North Carolina, if they can do one thing, it is score. Sam Howell can throw the ball. They can beat you in any way they want you to. They don't always, but they have the weapons. And Notre Dame just shut them down.
Well, I mean, this is a team that was it last week or 2 weeks ago. North Carolina
like 60 points on Wake Forest.
It was a basketball score. It was like 64-58 or something, and they held them to 17 points in a fantastic second half. It was really good. It was really good to see. And again, man, freaking Ian Book, man, him and his spell book, just running around. He is.
There were some plays that made no sense. I gotta be honest with you.
Here's the thing with Ian Book that it's crazy how well he can scramble out of the pocket and keep plays alive. This was a part of his game that was non-existent last year.
I think that's the big difference.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Other Notre Dame teams of the past, especially the ones that he's been on, have been like good, but they're just they're winning games.
Right.
They're just not losing. Is the thing.
I think more than that, it's they built a culture. Brian Kelly built a culture around having a good offensive line, establishing the run, and throwing play action.
Yeah.
Now that he has a quarterback that can not only do what he wants him to do, but he can also take those huge, fast wide receivers that he recruits in Middle America, coming out of Iowa and Nebraska and Kansas and those kind of states, and he can put them out there and have Ian Spellbook running around and creating plays that, typically would have resulted in either a sack or the ball being thrown away or maybe, a rush and something bad up for the offense. He now has Ian Spellbook to go out there and create the plays from happening. We talk about that a lot with Pat Mahomes, and please, I am not comparing Ian Book to Pat Mahomes.
Wait. I understand.
I know you get it, but for listeners, this is not what's happening. But there is a little bit of Mahomes in him where Mahomes has that same innate ability to scramble. He knows when to scramble, and that's just as important as the ability
scrambling
to
is
scramble.
a gift.
Exactly. Yes.
I think people just like they do with big arm quarterbacks, they mistake the ability to throw any type of pass with the understanding of when to throw any type of pass.
Correct.
Those are not the same thing. Scrambling is the same thing. Being a mobile quarterback does not make you a good scrambler.
Agreed.
It is about you understanding your pocket awareness, understanding when's the time to bail, understanding
when to throw the ball on the run,
just dynamics, when to throw the ball, when to keep your eyes downfield while you're moving, or when to just tuck in and run. And he's got it's a skill, and he has gotten way better at that this year than any other. That's the biggest change in his game. I think you were so right when you said that. And
that's what's turning Notre Dame from an independent school to a potential ACC champion and playoff appearance. I can't believe I said that.
I hate this.
We're gonna move on. For the Iowa State game, we both get points. For this game, Tyler gets the point. I went with North Carolina. Second half let me down. The Iron Bowl, the second biggest rivalry in the country. We will stand by that statement till we die. Auburn versus Alabama. Bama wins it 42-13. The game had a slow start to it. But once Mac Jones kind of got his feet under him, that was it. It was over. Once Bama started throwing that was it. It was done.
No. I don't have much to say about this game. It played out pretty much the way that I thought it would.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it played well. If the only thing that I kind of didn't think would happen, I thought Bama would score faster. I didn't think it would take into close to the end of the first, early second quarter for the scoring to start, but it is what it is.
But their first score comes on a Devontae Smith long touchdown. He didn't even do anything. He just ran vertically. Usually when somebody gets as wide open as he does, you expect, we're going to watch the replay. There's going to be a defensive breakdown in the sense of somebody's going to get confused, or he is just going to Van Jefferson and mark someone. He's going to take his ankles and sell them on the black market later. No, he just ran past him.
And here's the thing. This is a bunch of people that's saying, this is where the NFL people join the chat and say, oh, well, he can't do that in the NFL, this and that, whatever. It's like, yeah, I know. I get it. There's better players. Wow, shocked that there's better players at the professional level than there are at the collegiate. But it doesn't take away.
Let's go look at the other 29 Devontae Smith touchdowns.
It doesn't take away that Devontae Smith is Usain Bolt in cleats sometimes. Sorry. Oh, man. So we both get the points on that one. Easy. Nick Saban was not on the field for that, but once again, did not matter. He had COVID. Hope he feels better.
It's a machine.
Did you see?
It is a machine.
It is a machine. Did you see what he said? Did you see what he said after the game?
No.
Okay, so someone asked him about watching the game on TV, and he said, I think I yelled at the TV a couple of times. A couple times we made some mistakes in coverage. A couple times we missed some tackles. A couple times when Mac didn't throw the ball to the guy I thought he should have thrown it to. So I guess it was more than a couple. It was funny because that was Nick
Saban thing ever.
It was Nick Saban's unique way of trying to be funny. It was cute.
I guess kind of.
Yeah, right. It was a little cute.
I would pay so much money to watch Nick Saban watch just a random football game, not one that he's affiliated with at all.
I want him to watch a Pac-12 After Dark game that has no playoff implications.
Yes,
that's what I want.
I want to sit in that room with him. I want to know what he thinks.
I want to watch Arizona State Utah with him.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. All right, to the best rivalry in college
Absolute
football,
best rivalry.
the Egg Bowl, which should have been played on Thanksgiving, but whatever. Ole Miss,
I was so mad.
I know, taking on Mississippi State. Ole Miss 31-24. We both get the points on that. We picked Ole Miss. Tyler, I want to point out 3 times in the first half, Lane Kiffin did Lane Kiffin things by calling just a go route, a Devontae Smith, if you will, just a go route, just go deep. And Matt Corral threw it deep.
No, that's not a Devontae Smith play. That's a Spurrier play.
That's a Spurrier play.
That is a Spurrier staple. It's like, just run that way and he'll throw it to you and you go catch it. Like,
it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard.
I did see. So I do actually believe it's not that the great coaches like. It's not that football is a difficult game.
Mm-hmm.
It's that great coaches. Football is an easy game, and great coaches make it even easier.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
agreed. 100% agree.
I just, Ole Miss. It's funny because this was a weird to watch this because like Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach like don't hate each other.
No. No, they
but
don't.
Like all of their players hate each other. Like,
oh yeah, they both they're jumping
this
into
game
this...
still means a lot to these players. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And
they jumped into this rivalry. Kind of, people were like trying to see them to be like, oh, they're gonna hate each other, and they're like, no, we're both pretty laid back, but their players are the opposite.
Yeah, and I will say we've come full circle on the whole Mississippi State thing, where it's like started off great, absolutely was terrible in a little bit. Now, with Will Rogers at quarterback, I think Mississippi State is figuring out like they're finding something. Like,
yes,
so
they are the definition.
Who knows what that is going to entail?
Well, that's the thing. They are the definition of addition by subtraction, because they got rid of a bunch of players. I think they fielded like 50 scholarship players in this game, and they were competitive. In the last game, what they played against, what is it, LSU, I think. They fielded 47 or below the limit, and they were competitive. So even though they don't have as many players right now, they have the players that Mike Leach wants there, and I think that's important. So next year's definitely going to be a better season, and we're starting to see that groundwork be laid now.
Let me float something to you real quick before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking when we have this? We will definitely have this discussion multiple times in the off season. When we talk about who the best returning quarterback in the SEC is, who are you going to take? Because I think I'm going to take Matt Corral. Because you got to think Mac Jones and Kyle Trask are gone. Kellen Mond's gone.
Yeah. I think there's an argument. For JT Daniels.
That was the
There's
big
an
one
argument.
to me.
There's an argument for JT Daniels, but I think based on what has been put on tape this season, based off of probably
all things equal, if I had to draft someone in the backyard right now, I'd take Matt Corral.
I think you're right. I think I would take Matt Corral. I'm trying to think. Is Felipe coming back?
That's a great question.
Because if Felipe comes back, I think there's an argument to be made.
One. Because in that system, in that situation, he's pretty good.
Because Felipe has the deep ball too.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking Lane Kiffin's offense and putting Felipe in there, I think I might be able to do a bit more than what Matt Corral's doing right now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that good question.
Interesting stuff to talk about.
We can marinate that
earlier today.
We can marinate that.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, last game in 5 wides. We're running over time here. LSU A&M 120-7. But
A&M, I told you needed style points. What was this?
That's the opposite of style points, dude.
A&M's defense played well. I will give them that.
But A&M's defense always plays well. Jimbo, for some reason, his teams play well defensively, even though he is an offensive coach. It's one of those weird things where he ends up over-recruiting on the defense because he knows he can make good with the offense.
Yeah.
And it showed this game. It showed this week.
Okay, yeah. Kellen Mond had another one of those weird games where his stat line makes no sense. Texas A&M played well defensively. LSU actually wasn't terrible defensively.
No, they weren't.
It's this week their offense didn't show up.
Yeah.
LSU's bad, man.
Dude, they're so inconsistent.
Bad.
We know that Bo Pelini's not going to come back next year.
Oh crap! Derek Mason's going to go to Vanderbilt.
Derek Mason's going to go to LSU? No, he's not.
Sorry, he's going to go to LSU.
No, he's not. No, he's not. We're not going to speak that into existence, Tyler. We're not going to do that.
Right.
No, but seriously, LSU, like we said, LSU is a young team, has talent. They will bounce back next year. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's literally how I feel. I don't read too much into these last few games for LSU because I know the talent is there, and it may work in their favor that they're getting these game reps. Because if you look, LSU's kind of sneaky getting better with each week, both offensive and defensively.
Yeah, they're merging a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. They're blending in a bit more. Goes on. I'm kind of not liking the fact that we have LSU in a couple weeks because they are a better team, I think, than they were.
They play Alabama this week.
Oh, that's right. We're going to get them at the bounce back. We're good. No worries.
We had the same conversation months ago when we were going over the new schedule. And it's like, I don't like the spot that Kentucky's at. And I'm like, Sergio, guess who Kentucky plays the week before they play out Florida?
You're right.
Alabama. And you're like, look at God.
Look at God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of look at God, your 2-point Tyler was Washington over Utah. And Washington ends up winning 24-21 to give you the full sideline judgment sweep.
I never doubted.
Did you? Did you never doubt?
I doubted heavily. What are you talking about?
You definitely doubted.
Hey, Jimmy Lake is 3-0 and number 1 in the Pac-12 right now.
Congratulations to Jimmy Lake.
I will say this. Dylan Morris throwing from the pocket. Average. Dylan Morris throwing off platform. Put him in the Hall of Fame. It was uncanny. I've never seen a man so off, so different.
It was uncanny how different and how surprisingly good he was when he was flustered. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
He's so good off platform.
Like, and I only saw the highlights. Like, I don't get it.
Which, that's a great thing in the sense of if everything works out. It's great that he instinctually has the off-platform stuff and the off-structure stuff. Yeah. Because then if you just get him to play in structure, you've got something cooking there.
Listen, they got a whole offseason coming up to fix that.
Yeah, and I think... Washington has gradually shifted more to the pass game as each game has gone by because the first game they didn't have to pass it all to win. This the game against Arizona, and they could have just ran that one, but they started to open up the passing game more. You saw those dividends pay out here. They got into a situation they were down 21-0 at some point, and they fought back and won, and I was very happy about it.
Congrats to your Huskies.
Again, it is time to pound the table for my Washington Huskies. We're gonna watch out for them next year. When we get back to normal college football years, it will be time for the Washington Huskies to return to the college football playoff.
Does this mean that you are abandoning your Cal Golden Bears next year as your Pac-12 team?
I think the window's come and gone.
The window's come and gone.
This was supposed to be the year. You had Chase Garbers. I thought Washington was going to take a step back. Right. I thought Oregon was going to be a year away from their situation. And now Oregon and Washington both look pretty good.
No, I get it. I understand.
Now Oregon State.
Listen, I have another year of Jaden Daniels, so I'm going to stick with my Arizona State pick.
Jaden Daniels is still Arizona State. They haven't fired Clay Helton yet.
No,
but if they do, then you're screwed.
Yeah. If they do that, I'm screwed. But
Colorado doesn't look terrible.
Listen, staying in the Pac-12, my 2-point was Oregon over Oregon State, and I'm just going to blame it on the fog.
This game was great.
This was a fantastic football game.
This is highlighter colors.
The color rush was back. We didn't know.
Yeah, but the most highlighter orange up against the most highlighter yellow green I've ever seen.
Which was actually great given the weather because I could see the teams.
Because you can actually see what was happening.
It's like they look at the forecast and kind of got together and said, "We're just going to do this, for the fans."
Hey, I was appreciative of it.
What did we call this game? The Platypus Bowl. So the Platypus Bowl. Oregon had a 22-point lead. That was pretty good, Tyler. That was a good platypus. Oregon had a 22-point
lead, yeah,
in the fourth quarter, and the Beavers.
Jonathan Smith, baby.
It was exciting seeing the comeback. Yes, was I dying a bit inside? Yes, I was. But it was one of those things where I didn't mind dying a bit inside because it was such a fun.
It was a great and considering that Tristan Jebby got hurt. And they had to put a backup quarterback in to do the QB sneak. It's just a lot of stuff was happening in that game. I will say that the Pac-12 officiating was something.
It was very Pac-12 officiating. I'll give
There's a narrative for a reason.
There's a narrative for a reason. You are correct there.
Yeah, but it's more. I don't come away from this being like, oh man, Oregon. Yeah, I mean, it was a good game.
Yeah, it was a good football game.
I think this is more of an Oregon State showed up in this game.
That's how I feel. And when you looked at, and I should have, I was hesitant to pick this game before we recorded our last episode because I was looking at the records and the history, and yeah, Oregon was dominating Oregon State for a while. But last year the game was close, and in a rivalry game and stuff like this happens. You never know, man. You never ever know. And this was a year that kind of came back to bite me in the butt. So it is what it is. It takes our score to Tyler 50, Sergio 45. I definitely lost ground on this. It took a literal perfect week for Tyler to feel better about himself.
You're damn
with
right.
his lead.
Well, look, this is what just happened if we break it down game script wise.
Mm-hmm.
You just fumbled in your own red zone. However, I couldn't punch it in, just kicked a field goal. Game's still within reach.
Yes.
But you can't win with a field goal anymore. You're gonna have to score a touchdown.
I'm gonna have to score a touchdown. That is 100% correct.
And it's winding down in the fourth, buddy.
Listen,
it's
all right,
11 minutes, 42 seconds left in the fourth.
I still got 3 timeouts.
You got time for 3 more drives.
I got 3 timeouts. It's okay. I just gotta make it a game here. I can kick a field goal next possession, and so long as I hold you, I got a shot at the end.
Okay.
We're good. Tyler, let's wrap up this episode with our moment of the week. I think we both know what moment of the week. Tyler, what is it?
There are many moments, as in all of college football, but there's one moment of the week this week.
Mm-hmm.
And that is herstory was made.
You damn right.
And Sarah Fuller, a goalkeeper for the Vanderbilt women's soccer team, took the field, was the first woman to take the field in a Power 5 football game and in the SEC, and did a kickoff in the second half. And I just want to clarify right now, I just want to get right to it. All of you that want to say something, please kindly shut up. Or if you would like to, say something, drop a pin, and then we can meet up. Because I don't even care that this is. You're gonna hear things that this was a publicity stunt, and you know, I don't care. So what if it is a publicity stunt for an 0-8 football team? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I got to show my baby sister this weekend that this happened.
Right.
And it's just absolutely incredible that a woman was able to take the field, be a part of that team, be a part of that moment. And just, I'm getting all emotional just thinking about it. But like, really, and Sarah Fuller talked about it after the game, that this was really just to show young women that they can do whatever they want. Like,
yeah,
if they really put their mind to it. And I cannot be happier. It was a highlight in a pretty. It was just a real highlight of the week. Considering this rivalry week wasn't even really rivalry week, like it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I will say, it is objectively hilarious that Vanderbilt's offense was so bad they couldn't even get into field goal range.
And the thing is that, like, my mom asked me. My mom was like, "Oh, how did Fuller do?" And I was like, "Well, they didn't put her out to kick a field goal." I was like, they didn't put her out to kick a field goal. She was like, "Oh no, but I thought they were going to." I was like, "Oh no. Like, Vanderbilt didn't score.
They would have.
They couldn't get to the point to give her a shot." So I kind of liked how Derek Mason saw the writing on the wall and was like, "Go kick out that opening. Go kick at the start of the second half because we want this moment."
Did you see what she said about? She said something at halftime to the team?
No, I didn't see what she said at halftime. I saw what she said after the game. I didn't see it at halftime.
I would say like it's about what she said at halftime. But she basically said like she kind of gave them a bit of a talk about how like when they won the SEC championship, because she's an SEC champion goalkeeper.
Very true.
Which she said, it was like, were you nervous when you did that kickoff? She's like, oh no, goalkeeping in the SEC championship is way more nerve-wracking. Which I understand.
Which is true.
Like, she was like, when we won that championship, a large part of it was the fact that we were. And anytime a good thing happens, we're cheering. We're invested on the sideline. We have energy. And she's like, good things happen to Vanderbilt on defense, and like she's the only one clapping her hands. And like she apparently gave them a bit of a talk about how like we need to hold each other. Like we're all teammates now. Like we need to hold each other accountable. When we do good things, we need to be a part. We need to lift each other up.
Yeah.
Be a team. And apparently, like, now I don't know how that fell on the ears of an 0-8 football team. I gotta be honest, like.
Yeah.
But apparently some of the coaches came up to her afterwards and were told her that like that is what they had been wanting to get across to.
Yeah.
And they're glad that she said it, which like I mean, that takes guts too. Like
regardless
of the gender divide, like getting up in front of a team that you just joined,
like, and saying, "Yo, you guys are to do your job."
Ooh, pretty bad.
I like that. I think I saw a sign on game day. It was one of those things, people have the signs that they go in now, the pandemic. There was one that said like something about a girl dad, and like every time I saw they would cut in or they showed the squib kick, which by the way, Raul and I executed. When the kick happened, Raul and I looked at each other, we were like, oh, that wasn't very good. And then when I watched it again, I realized it was a design squib kick. Like the team was that she did her job. It wasn't that she wasn't good enough and they kind of threw out there for no reason. No. She did her job to do the squib kick. And you look at the coverage scheme, they did it right. Like, so there's that. But I found myself throughout whenever they'd cut in and stuff, we are too young for children and we will not be having children for a long time. But, I found myself having like, if I was to have a girl, this is what I would want to show her. I don't care. I don't care if she plays sports or not, whatever. Just it's not even a sports thing. You can literally do whatever you want. And that's the example that we should set. We have little sisters that are close to the same age. We, maybe one day we father to some daughters and we want to give that message across, that's what we want to talk about.
And it's more than anything to me is the fact that this is not even about, I think with this kind of stuff, I'm always this kind of proponent of like the importance of it to kids is not so much as the stated stuff. It's that when my baby sister and my daughter is going to see this at such a young age, it's the whole thing that it won't be a big deal to her.
Right.
Like, and that's the beauty of it. Like, just for example, pulling it out of sports for a second, when Joe Biden came president-elect and did his acceptance speech, you watch it. My family watched it because, got to keep up on what's happening in the world. But Kamala Harris was giving her this speech before Joe Biden took the stage to accept his nomination, and I was looking at my sister and being like, this is our first woman vice president, and like that is such a big moment. I was saying you can do whatever you want, and it's like Emma, a 9-year-old at the time, it didn't faze her. Yeah, I think she was just like, I mean, like, why wouldn't it? Like, and that's the beauty of this moment is that kids that see this, that's going to be expected. It's going to be progress, and that's just I had to get all big brain and all emotional about it.
No, but that, I mean, that's
a big deal.
It's a big deal, and rightfully so, to go big brain, because hopefully one day we see these things and we don't have to go big brain.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're seeing from that younger generation, where us as adults now are looking at it and we're like, oh yeah, this is how it should be, Yeah. So very glad to have witnessed that.
If Florida can pull a dental school student to be a holder,
yes,
and execute a trick play from somebody who was bagging Publix bags a week prior,
Mike McNeely,
we could a SEC champion soccer player can kick a ball.
Yeah. Florida, which is having having a downside on our soccer program, but it's okay because we'll get back there.
Yeah.
School that produced Abby Wambach will definitely get back there.
Becky Burley will get back there.
Yeah, for sure.
We're good. I keep forgetting Abby Wambach with Florida.
Tyler, do you have anything else you want to say, or do you want to wrap this episode up?
I want to go back to my pseudo moment of the week and just wrap this up with a college football thing that Brock Purdy doing the horns down in the locker room. That's kind of my moment of the week. Just if you guys get to see this picture, we'll try and retweet it. Like, it's just the most perfectly horns down picture ever.
It's fantastic.
Like, it's angled correctly. Brock Purdy's looking straight at the camera. He's clearly lost his mind. And it was great. And I just seeing all of the video clips on Twitter of the Iowa State locker room celebration.
Yes, they're fantastic.
That's why you love this sport. That's why you love this sport.
They are fantastic, man. I love it. And I just want to, real quick, I do want to point out, I know it's not tweets we've shared this week, but I do want to point out that you did share a tweet with me from PFF College Football to finish it on a football note, where it says DB lines up across from Kyle Pitts, and it's the Jordan meme from Last Dance, and I took that personally, and that's exactly what I feel with what happened with Kyle Pitts. So I just want to end it on that note as well.
Cover him?
No one can cover him.
This may be, it's definitely hype. I'm definitely exaggerating here, and I'm definitely forgetting someone, and I'm not the most knowledgeable person on the entire history of college football, but I don't know if I've ever seen a more dominant tight end in college. Like, people are going to say Gronkowski and all these and all these things, and I'm like, those are dominant tight ends in the NFL.
Correct.
That were good players. But I'm talking about a reign of dominance in college. Like, who has remotely been able to stop Kyle
You can't
Pitts?
cover him.
Short of sweeping the leg.
You can't cover him. Short of sweep of the leg and short of a borderline on purpose targeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's incredible what he's doing, man. And I wish that we had, part of me wishes, I'm doing a project for school about the history of national champions in college football. And one of the things I've come across is Heisman winners. And in the 21st century, it's been all quarterbacks and I think 3 running backs. And since like the 80s, there hasn't been like a non-skill position player. And tight end, while it technically is a skill position, like I think the last tight end to win it was like in the 40s. And so it's like, it definitely deserves conversation and one of the best players.
I wish he could win.
I wish he could win too. As do I. All right, Tyler. Think it's a good moment to wrap it up there. We will be back this coming week with a preview of everything to happen on week 14 because, college football has a super long week this year and schedule this year, and that's what it is. This has been another episode of Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And we are not biased, Tyler, but Kyle Trask for Heisman.
Kyle Trask for Heisman.